Hello everyone, and welcome to 2.3. This is about lines and slopes. So nothing too fancy, nothing weird, no parabolas or any other exponents that we're going to be dealing with. So make sure you have 2.3 notes out, you're ready to go, and you're posting questions on the discussion board. All right, when you look here, first we're going to calculate the slope. I hope I had a pencil out. We're going to calculate the slope. We're going to write it in point slope form. We're going to write it in slope intercept form. We're going to talk about the difference between horizontal and vertical lines. We're going to recognize the general form of a line. So now we got three forms of a line we're doing so far, right? Point slope, slope intercept, and general form. We're going to graph the general form of an equation, and we're going to do a few story problems. So we're going to start off with the slope formula. And you should remember that the slope letter is m when you're in your equation. So m means slope when you get there. You are going to have, you should remember that that is the change in y over the change in x, or delta y over delta x, which means y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, or the other way around, nobody cares, which in words is rise over run, which makes perfect sense because when you are on the xy axis, your slope is rise, so how far up and how far over are you going? So now let's calculate the slope. So pause and give it a shot. Okay, the first thing you should have done is taken the change in y. So the y's, so 23 minus 5. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Over minus 5 minus 7, which gives you 18 over a negative 12. I did this on purpose so that the negative in the bottom you can see. We always move the negative to the top because that's the exact same thing. And we need to reduce these two by 6. So this is really negative 3 over 2, which means when you graph your slope, you go down 3 and right 2 from your point. All right, we're going to start with point slope form of a line. Point slope form is exactly that. You need a point and a slope to write it. It actually comes from the slope equation. All you're doing here is clearing your denominator. So your answer is the y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. A little bit different. When you're doing this y and this x always remain y and x. They represent the points of the line. Remember, this here is your slope of the line, and the x1, y1 is any given point. All right, so I'm going to go down here. I would like you to give this a shot. So you should have written y minus the y value, which was 3, equals the slope, which is 7, times x minus the x value, which is 5. All right, that would have given you point slope form, and you should have stopped. Now, if on the test I ask you for slope intercept form, and I give you the point and the slope, you start here, but then you solve for y. So the first thing we do here is distribute your 7. So now we have y minus 3 equals 7x minus 35. Add your 3 over. So y equals 7x minus 32. And this here would be known as slope intercept form of a line. Remember, slope intercept form of a line is y equals mx plus b. So now instead of having a slope and a given point, you have a slope, right? And a y-intercept. And remember, the y-intercept here would really be 0, negative 32. So technically, you're also given a point. Just a very special one. All right, here I want you to graph and create the equation of the line. First, I want you to graph it before you create the equations, just so you know you understand what slope means. Give it a shot. So you should have graphed 2, negative 3. So you should have went over 2, down negative 3, and entered your point. And then from that point, you should have drawn your slope. Well, your slope is really 4 over 1 is how you write that. So this is up 4. So you're going to go up 4, right 1 from 2, negative 3. And it disappeared again. I have no idea how to make it stop doing that. So 2, negative 3, maybe we draw next, is right here. We're going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And now we're going to draw our line. Whoops. Please use a straight edge. Okay. And you can do that without the equation because your slope always goes from a given point. It doesn't go for any place special, right? So you always start at the point, and then your second step is to graph the slope. So let's write the equation now. I'm giving a slope and a point, so I must write it in point-slope form. So y minus a negative 3, which means plus a positive, is equal to your slope times x minus 2. If I just asked for an equation, you are done. And if you look here, though, it said, hey, I need the slope-intercept form of equation. That means I must solve for y. So y plus 3 equals the 4x minus the 8. Subtract your 3. So y equals 4x minus 11. I hope you did a great job. Okay, horizontal and vertical. Y equals negative 2. Okay, if y equals a value, that means x does not, so it cannot cross the x-axis. So I go over here to y equals negative 2, right? Well, y equals negative 2 is true all along this line. If you pick any point on here, like that one, is negative 4, negative 2. If I pick this one, I think that's 14. That was a positive 4, my fault. 14 comma negative 2. If I pick this one, that's negative 10, negative 2. Y is always negative 2, which is what our criteria was. If you look here and you try to calculate the slope, so it's change in y over change in x, right? Let's just pick these 2 points. So it would be minus 2 minus a negative 2 all over 14 minus 4. Well, if you look, your numerator is 0, so your slope is 0. If you look, you're going nowhere. Remember, if you're on a ski slope and you were standing here on your skis, you would go nowhere. You have a slope of 0. Now let's look at x equals 5. So x equals 5 on the x-axis, here's 5. Well, that means all along this line, x is 5. If you pick any point, okay, this point right here is 5, 0. If I pick this point right here, that's 8, 0. I'm sorry. 5, 8, my fault. Okay, if you go down here, what point do we have here? 5, I can't read that. Should I pick a different one? Negative 9, I think. I need better eyes. The entire time, x is 5, which is our criteria. So now let's try doing slope. Let's pick these two. So we do 8 minus 0 over 5 minus 0. I'm sorry, 5 minus 5. Our denominator is now 0. You cannot divide by 0, so this is undefined. If you were on a ski slope and you went down a slope like this, you would probably die if it was steep, right? You are undefined. So always be careful, correct? Okay, that's vertical and horizontal. Okay, this is the general form of the line. The other way this is written is like this. AX plus BY equals C. Some books will show it that way. Yours uses this one, so that's what we'll do. I want you to take this and solve for Y. So our first step is we need to get rid of the AX and the C. So I'm going to subtract AX and I'm going to subtract C. So now I have BY equals negative AX. I'm sorry. I need to just quit tonight the way this looks. Go away. Let's try it again. Negative there it is, X minus C. Next, you need to divide by the B. So now we have Y equals negative A over B X minus C over B. If you notice, this is slope-intercept form. So your slope is negative A over B, and your y-intercept is negative C over B. So if you know that, there's no work involved. So right here, I have AX plus BY minus C equals 0. or plus a negative 12 if we don't get confused. So now to find the slope, I know that's the opposite of A, which is 3, over B. So my slope is negative 3 over 6, which equals negative 1/2. I know my y-intercept is the opposite of B over, the opposite of C over B. So the opposite of C would be a positive 12 over 6, which equals 2. Now, let's try this the other way. Let's go over here and let's actually solve this for y. So I would subtract the 3x and I would add the 12. So now I have 6y equals minus 3x plus 12. Divide by 6, which, by the way, this is completely legal. You can do this also if you like it better. That is negative 1/2 x plus 2. Slope is negative 1/2, which is what we had here. Y-intercept is 2, which is what we had here. This is just a shortcut to help you get done with your homework faster. Completely up to you if you use it or if you solve for y. I don't care. All right, next, we have to graph using intercepts. That means the x-intercept, you let y equal 0. The y-intercept, you let x equal 0, and you draw your line. So pause and give it a shot. So first, let's do the x-intercept. So the x-intercept is when y equals 0. So we have 4x plus 12, I'll write it out, minus 48 equals 0. So this goes away. I need to add the 48 to the other side. So now we have 4x equals 48, divide by 4, and x equals 12. So I'm going to go to x value. I'm going to go to 12, and we're going to put our dot. Now we have to find the y-intercept. So at the y-intercept, x equals 0. So let's do this. 4 times 0 plus 12y minus 48 equals 0. So this cancels. Add your 48, just like before. So 12y equals 48. Divide by 12, and y equals 4. So my y-intercept is 4. I have 2 points. Use your straight edge, and you can draw the line. Intercept graphing. So you don't have to find the slope. You did find the y-intercept, by the way. It's right here. It's 4. But you also found the x-intercept, which took the place of the slope that you need. Sometimes they help when your numbers are really large. Okay, let's try this story problem. All right, what do we know? Create an equation for the following situation. Predict the temperature, so that's what I'm finding. The atmosphere has a 411 carbon dioxide concentration. And look at here, they were nice enough to give us the points. So I don't know the temperature when carbon dioxide equals 411. So I do know 2 points. So they gave us 317, 57.04, and they gave us 354, 5764.64. To obtain a linear function, models global temperature, f of x. So temperature is f of x. Remember, f of x stands for y. So I know the y is the temperature value. So this represents temperature here. Carbon dioxide of x millions per million. So I know that this here is my, so x represents my carbon dioxide, round m, so the slope, to 3 decimal places, and b to 1 decimal place. So that's just telling us how they want the answer. So first we have to do is calculate the slope. So I don't know the slope and I don't know b. I don't know m and I don't know b. First thing I'm going to calculate is m. So I'm going to take the 57.64 minus 57. I can't read my own writing. This is supposed to be a 7. 57.04 all over 354 minus 317. All right, you're going to need a calculator for that. And I get 0.7 over 37. Said to round to a decimal, so I'm going to type it in my calculator. I get 0.0162, repeating is what happens there. 3 decimals means I have to stop here. So my slope is actually equal to 0.016 after rounding. All right, we did a good job. Now let's do B. So my y-intercept is a little bit more difficult because I don't have that. So I can't go straight to B, but I do have a point. So this is a bad idea, which is kind of how I want you to think. So I'm going to pick a point. Let's pick this one because it's the smallest. And I know my slope. So I can write this in point slope form since I have a point and I have a slope. So I'm going to go y minus 57.04 equals 0.016 times x minus 317. You could have used the other point too. You would get the same answer. Okay, I need to solve when CD equals 411 or when x equals 411. So I could plug the 411 in here and do it that way, or I can solve for y and plug it in for that one. Doesn't matter. You can choose. I'm going to do it the long way because I think some of you like that. So we get y minus 57.04 equals 0.016x. Do your multiplication, which is minus 5.072. Add your 57.04 over. And now I have y equals 0.016x plus 48.968. Okay, the reason I did this, because in your directions, it said to round B. Well, if it says to round B, it probably wants me in slope-intercept form. And it said to round B to 1 decimal place. Well, this is a little tricky, because the 6 rounds the 9 up to a 10, which rounds this up to just a straight 49. So y equals 0.016x plus 49. So my y-intercept is 49 degrees, and it's increasing by 0.016x. Now I have to find the value when x equals 11. So here we're going to let x equal 411. So y equals 0.016 times 411 plus 49. Plug that into your calculator. And we get 56 degrees, or 55.6. At 411 carbon dioxide. I hope you did a good job. Good luck on your homework. Post questions on the discussion board, and don't forget about your accountability checks.